what does juggling have to do with pitching? What does juggling have to do with athletics in general? So I'm really big, kind of nerdy on the brain, okay, and what's called flow or flow state, or there's another word for it, Mishu or something. Anyway, it's basically the idea of this, so your brain turning off and your body, your physical actions just taking over, right? And it's in a lot of like action adventure sports, in order to just survive. Like you just enter this state of flow, and then there's just no time, there's no thought, it's just action, and that's usually when just really good things happen. Called the zone, right? When you hear basketball players talk about I was in the zone, or pitchers throwing no hitters or whatever, I was in the zone. Hitters, same thing. You have no recollection of like time or what you were thinking. It was just like action, response, boom. So I'd encourage you, if you're watching this and you want a little dive deeper, The Rise of Superman is a book. I listened to it on audio tape. It's fantastic. It talks all about flow. So when I got really big into this idea of flow and how to kind of best get into flow or the zone when pitching, basically it's the idea of like you're using your preparation as like your sense of confidence, so then when you do get out onto the playing field, you don't have to be up here. But what I realized and learned obviously through a ton of games is like this just wants to turn on, right? It's like our sense of survival, the brain's wanting to consciously work, act in hopes for us to survive. So it's really hard, it's a difficult task to obtain, is this sense of flow. So what I found is there's means to like train it, to train your brain to get into this pattern more often. And I've realized that the more often you can train in this pattern, the more easier it's going to be to get into that mental state of flow, right? So this is where juggling comes in. So when I was in Omaha in 2019, I would do nighttime juggling walks, and I was never really like a great juggler. I was like, okay, I could juggle maybe 3 balls pretty decent for a limited amount of time. And I would take these juggling walks to just challenge like the normal, challenge this system of like, flow. Because when you're juggling, it's like singing a song that you know, but you don't really know all too well. Like you can't consciously think about the next lyric. You have to try and kind of just go with the rhythm, right? Same with juggling. You can't consciously think when you're in the act, like, okay, this is right hand, left, like it's just this pattern of like, I gotta shut off my mind and I gotta frickin' just do the task, right? And then what I started doing was challenging myself more with like 4 balls, 5 balls, 2 balls, one hand, like things like that, where I was seeing that I was forcing this thing to happen. It had to happen for me to accomplish this thing, especially juggling when you're like not good at it and you're still trying to like learn the ropes. When you get the fundamental of it, this is how I correlate it to like the preparation of, say, pitching. That's what I did. When you get the fundamental of it, when you kind of understand the systematic approach of how to do it at the best of your ability, you train that, and then this guy can go, okay, we're ready. Now the body, trust that preparation, take over, now let's rock. And I've realized juggling, just like action adventure sports, that's why I'm kind of like an adrenaline junkie, mountain biking, doing something really fast that forces you, like surfing, doing something really fast that forces this guy to just like turn off and body take over. I want to get a squirrel suit, do the same thing. But juggling, it's happening so fast, right, that you don't have the time. All right, well, sorry, my camera died, but couple last notes on that dynamic subject of like juggling is you can also train like what I started doing once I got really good at it, to where like I was able to start like consciously thinking about stuff while I was juggling, because like the motor pattern of it was just so accustomed, it wasn't really that hard for me to to think while doing the activity was then I started juggling while doing another activity, like, you know, an exercise, a reverse lunge, a pistol squat, like juggling while balancing one, like all these things where you start realizing like, wow, the more that I consciously, like the more that my brain like turns on, obviously the brain's always on kind of, right? But the more that it like is firing, and the more that I start thinking conscious thoughts, then the worse like my physical body is. Say if like I'm balancing one leg on like a balance beam or a pole, or even if like I'm walking on a balance beam or a tightrope or something while juggling, like that's gonna force me now to just